On this evening, the scriptures that I want you to take note of are 1 John chapter 2, verses 3, 13, and 14, and also 1 John chapter 4 and verse number 7. Again, that's 1 John chapter 2, verse 3, verse 13, verse 14, and chapter 4 and verse 7. As you're making note of those scriptures, I want you to think about how we learn, how we recall things, or how we commit things to memory. And we say repetition, repetition, repetition. That's how we learned our ABCs. That's how we learned our phone number, our address. That's how we learned those memory verses in our formative years in Bible school and Sunday school. That's how we learn anything in life. It's repetitious reciting or going over it in our minds, repeating it. That's how we learn. That's how we remember. In 1 John, the entire letter, John is trying to build a confident faith in the lives of believers. And you know the word or the phrase that is mentioned more than perhaps any other phrase in John's writing here? Two words: we know. Again and again and again and again, he mentions we know. So we will look at a study in 1 John, and again in the verses that we've selected for tonight, 1 John 2, verse 3, verse 13, verse 14, and chapter 4 and verse 7. The emphasis there is that we know God. We know Him. We're known of Him. The idea that John is putting forward is that Christians must be confident. We must be confident in knowing our relationship with God is true, it's real, it's authentic. It is a reminder to us that though we might experience persecution, we may have problems, we may experience pain, we can experience the perils of life, and we can experience people, but we can still have a confident faith. Do you know the word know, K-N-O-W, that we see in John's writing actually is a word that has reference to sexual intimacy? When John uses this word, he is helping us to understand that we ought to be intimate and intertwined in our relationship with God. Not just to know Him casually, not just going through the motions of a religious experience on Sunday, but being intertwined with God spiritually. So let me ask you some questions as you think about knowing God. How much alone time do you spend with God? How much time do you spend talking to God? How much time do you spend walking with Him? How about learning about Him or meditating on Him? How much time do you spend seeking Him and serving Him? How much time do you spend worshiping Him? And you do know you can worship God on days other than Sunday, to render praise and adoration to His name, to uplift Him, to exalt Him, to magnify Him, are acts of worship. How much time do you spend thanking Him? How much time do you spend sharing Him with others? You see, we can't just say that we want intimacy or closeness with God if we don't spend time with Him, talking to Him and walking and listening and meditating. All of these things are essential and being able to really say that we know God. As we look through this study in 1 John over the next few weeks, we ask of you to read the entire book of 1 John. It's just 5 chapters, and see how many times you see the phrase, we know. There are some things God just wants you to know. And the first is that he wants you to know that you can have an intimate, close relationship with him. You cannot have confidence, you cannot have faith, and you certainly can't have a confident faith if you don't know what you're supposed to know. More importantly, who you're supposed to know. This has been another installment of A Few Minutes with the Minister. All right, family, don't forget, we will be back on Thursday, August 29th. Back Thursday, August 29th, as we will be getting away, spending vacation time, enjoying Sister Gibbs's birthday this coming Wednesday. This time, our prayer warrior for tonight is Brother Carl Williams. We'll check in with him. And if you have a prayer request, you can direct your request to him, and he'll be glad to pray with you and pray for you. Please keep your prayer requests short, because we do have others on the call, and Monday is by far our biggest night, and you never know who may need to make a request. So please be kind and considerate of others. Brother Williams, are you there? I'm doing well. How about yourself? All right, it's all yours.
All right, brothers and sisters, family and friends. This is Brother Carl Williams. Good to hear you all and be on the line with you and standing by to take your prayer requests.